Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does!
And that might be the knockout punch.
All right, y'all. Greetings and salutations. Another episode of Fangs up here. And we are about to get up for the Bulldogs. Meaning get up and get excited for them, not get up and cheer for them, because nobody's cheering no darn Bulldogs this week. But going on in FAMU athletics, we have FAMU bowling. Got some good news going on there. Cross country's got something going on. The golf team hitting the links. The softball team got a little bit of fall ball. Volleyball is in the midst of the season, and the strength and conditioning program got a new coach there. And of course, the football game against South Carolina State. We're going inside the den. What's the SWAC doing for the state of Florida? Like, I just kind of, I ask those questions. I look around and I notice things, and I was just wondering, like, what are they doing for Florida? So big shout out always, HBCU Digital Network. This is home. And this is the home of the Fangs Up podcast. Also, shout out to the Black Techies. Their show will be going on Saturday, 6 p.m. on HBCU Digital Network, also on their Twitter page, as well as their YouTube page. And our title sponsor, Cable Busters. You can get for $35. You can get live TV, live sports on 3 devices. It's a great deal, y'all. I don't know what you're waiting on. But that being stated, bowling's getting started, and they start tomorrow. The Rattler Classic. This will be in Pensacola, Florida. And you may be like, why are they playing all the way in Pensacola? That don't make any sense. Well, it's because the Bread said to do so. The event was attracted to Pensacola by a grant. This is per FAMU Athletics from the Pensacola Sports Association. And you have a couple teams participating. Those are Alabama State, Florida A&M University, Emmanuel College, Grambling, Jackson State, Southern, Texas Southern, and Tulane. So, and that kind of leads into our Inside the Den thing. I'm waiting to go there later, but we're seeing how outside resources and funds are being used to draw in SWAC teams and teams that participate in the conference to kind of go outside of maybe your normal footprint. Because if you're like me, I'm from Tallahassee. I hadn't been to Pensacola in probably 15, 20 years. It's a ride, but it's actually a good midway point between FAMU and a lot of the other schools in the SWAC, especially our schools out in the, well, all the schools that are west of us, but especially the schools like Alabama State, Southern, as well as the schools in Mississippi and just Louisiana, honestly. Like, it's actually a really good midpoint there between those areas. We also have the cross country going on, and last time cross country, they've been inching towards getting better. First one, we didn't do good. After that, we did better. But you have the FSU Cross Country Invitational. That's going to be going on tomorrow, 8 o'clock in the morning in Tallahassee at the Appalachia Regional Park. So, again, we're seeing how conferences and teams are using events to draw in other companies or competition. I don't know why I was struggling with words. But that competition is then driving revenue and helping those cities generate additional income. Also, you have the Georgia State Invitational that took place for the golf team. FAMU finished in 11th. Wasn't last. I think it was 11 out of like 14 teams. But in the teams competition, we finished 11. It was kind of hard to find some of the stats there. The best place I found it was actually, I think it was Southern Illinois, where I looked and I was researching, and I did see that they had it going on there. We do have another tournament, but that's not going to take place for a few more days. So I'll bring that one up a little bit later. Now, softball. Y'all see, I'm just rifling through the sports. Got some family here, trying to hopefully not miss them before they leave. But again, fall ball and Gulf Coast State College doubleheader. That's going to be in Pensacola, noon and 2 p.m. That is also coming up. So FAMU sports are starting to kind of come out and begin for some sports. Other sports, they're in the thick of it, like the volleyball team. Volleyball, you have the SWAC Cluster 1. That's going to be in Huntsville, October 9th through the 10th. and that's with Grambling, UAPB, and Prairie View. So some good times to be had there, and some exciting things we got going on with FAMU athletics. Like, I encourage each of you to kind of check it out. Follow online when you can, but also follow on. A lot of times our sports are on ESPN3, especially the volleyball, some occasionally baseball, depending on what we play. But those sports are a lot of times on the ESPN third-party networks, and hopefully we can get some of those on HBCU Digital Network in the near future. But that being stated, I personally am encouraged and inspired because, man, we got a lot going on here. And yeah, needless to say, football, that's the bell cow. Check out the recruits that have been offered. We're going to get some updates going on that tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a great day. We're going to try to probably push out. FAMU offered in the past about 3 days, about 6 recruits, besides all those kids from Colquitt County. Like, that's a hotbed up there in Moultrie, not too far from the Agorama. Good things going on up there. And so, yeah. And if you are going to check out the softball team, Captain Anderson's is the spot. Not gonna lie, it's still open too. I was surprised, but that's the spot my parents used to go to, and they took me to, and I also like it as well. So, that being stated, football is the bell cow, and we are going to be going to the Garden City of Orangeburg, South Carolina. And no, supposedly the band is not going. The Marching 100 supposedly not going, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be there. I did see where Kofi from ONG said he's going to be there. So if you see my man, Kofi's a nice dude, great guy. Throw a wave at him, and he's really nice guy. But how do we win this game? What are some of the keys to success? First and foremost, if you caught any of the kind of post-game chatter, pre-game chatter from the coaches' interviews, FAMU needs to start fast. We have not seen 60 minutes of football from FAMU this season. We've seen 30 minutes. We've seen 10 minutes. We ain't seen a full 60. So we need to manufacture our own momentum, but we also need to start fast, meaning we need to score early. We scored fast last game, then we tapered off for pretty much a half. Like, FAMU played a good 30 minutes of offense. Defense was good for about 48. Then we had about 12 minutes where we took off, but the defense was solid. Like, we looked good in that last game, but we need to manufacture our own momentum away from home. That's one of the things Coach Simmons stated, and it's true. Again, and the 100's not going to be there, which he kind of hinted at. He was kind of like, yeah, is the band going to be there? He's like, kind of gave you that don't bet on it look, and yeah, they're not going to be there. So we're going to be leaning on the expertise of the upperclassmen. Musa's an upperclassman, but he's not a heavily experienced player, but he's pretty cool. Like, if you've seen Musa kind of out and about, stereotypical quarterback, very cool. Well, California quarterback, very cool, level-headed, friendly guy. Chooses words carefully. If he goes in there and he's calculated and he takes his time, it's going to be a good day. Also, though, got a couple things we're doing well. And going into this game, FAMU's throwing the ball really well. Xavier Smith has been on fire. Like, he has literally been running around like his head's on fire. Last couple of the games, he's averaging a touchdown plus every game, every home game. So, I mean, and even in Miami, he looked good in spurts, but nothing about that game looked good to me after halftime. But that being stated, like, the X-Man has been solid and he's been consistent. And that's something that we're going to need to continue on, because South Carolina State's corners are pretty decent. I mean, yeah, they got mollywopped against the University of South Carolina last week, but they were supposed to. It was a short week. It was in Columbia at the State Fair. If you're not familiar, it's not because they have the fair there, but the stadium that the University of South Carolina plays at is at the State Fair. But they held their own. And so we've also been playing well on defense, except for excluding the Orange Blossom Classic and parts of that Albany State game. FAMU's defenses look pretty solid. In the Alabama A&M game, at the beginning of the game, I was a little perturbed because I did not like how I felt like we overused the zone defense and the zone concepts, and I really seemed like it was leading to us being taken advantage of, and they were eating us up with their tight end. Whereas looking at the Valley game, some of it's talent, but some of it was we actually schemed it up pretty well. I mean, we had one bad play, And as Coach Simmons pointed out, without that one bad play, Valley probably doesn't go over 100 yards. And on that bad play, it's due to bad eye discipline. It's not because the guys suck or they lack the talent to be competitive, because they ran a screen one play and a go route. I mean, a screen with one receiver and a go with the other guy. Both the guys in secondary bit on the screen, meaning the receiver just ran past them. And by the time the deepest man saw him, it was too late. But FAMU's defense has been pretty good, and we're getting better. Like FAMU's linebackers, 27-0. They're doing well. Isaiah Lane is getting more comfortable as the season progresses. And you can see that. And you can see where our conditioning doesn't suck. Like even down in Miami, our guys the football team wasn't getting cramped. They weren't struggling with the heat. Now, the band, that's a horse of different colors. Some of the fans, like it was hot in Miami. But Coach Simmons mentioned as going pretty much, we have not had a player get a cramp. And I was like, I didn't notice that. And I was like, you're not wrong though. I haven't seen a guy laying on the ground complaining about a cramp. And we're just getting into that time of the year where the weather's starting to change. And up there, the weather, it may be a little brisker. So that could be an advantage for FAMU just because we do play in all this humidity. I haven't checked the weather forecast yet, but I'm going to irresponsibly speculate it's going to be cooler than it is in Tallahassee and that the humidity is going to be a little bit lower. That's going to be something that's going to play to our benefit. But we just have to, as I mentioned earlier, we have to play fast. And playing fast doesn't mean just playing fast and making mistakes. It means taking advantage of your scoring opportunities. When each drive in the first quarter, in the first half, we need to get points, preferably touchdowns, but we need points. We need to constantly be scoring points because points create pressure. And if we can get South Carolina State down, 14 points is going to change the way that they have to run their offense in a way that it opens it up, but it's also something they may not be as comfortable doing because that receiver they got is a monster. That was it, number one? I think he's 6'5". Shad, yeah, dude's a beast. Like that's gonna be a problem. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk more good about FAMU though. Musa's been good. Like he's getting more comfortable with the offense. Coach Simmons mentioned that, and they've worked to tailor the offense to his strengths. I wasn't the only one that noticed, man, this offense looks a lot like last year. Like it seemed like we really tried to run last year's offense and then just stick Musa in it. And Coach Simmons is like, yeah, after kind of that Jackson State debacle and after the Albany State game, we really broke it down. And you can see where the offense fits Musa a lot better. Look at the pocket. The pocket is a lot clearer. It's a lot cleaner. And granted, you got a freaking freshman as your starting center, but that has not slowed down the productivity of this offense, especially within the past 2 or 3 games. I mean, considering you have freshmen at the center spot, you have a new left guard, your left tackle is a transfer from Florida State, and he struggled mightily when he was in the ACC. And you're seeing where now they're gelling, they're starting to come together. And man, you really wish you had gotten this earlier, but at the same point, you're where you are, and you can't cry and complain about it. But you're coming together at a time where if you can string some wins together and Jackson State does what we all think Jackson State is going to do, then Jackson State loss doesn't hurt as bad as it did before. Because if Jackson State is dropping 50 and 60 on everybody in the SWAC, it means you're average. It's no nice thing to say. But if we beat the other teams in the SWAC, it means that, okay, we're better than our competition, excluding what is presumably the best team in the conference, who probably, if not for the money, should skip the Celebration Bowl to go to the playoffs because they'd make a run. I'm not one of these people that thinks the SWAC champion, Jackson State Tigers, would win the NCAA playoffs. I don't. I do think they make it to the second round, though. They got talent, and Deion's got analysts, and they work together. Deion is a great figurehead. Dude can recruit his tail off. I ain't taking that from him. But as far as being like just that guy, But yeah, no turnovers. Last 2 games for Musa. My table is made of particle boards, so it's made knock on wood and glue. But we got to see. Musa's got to continue to be careful with the ball. Again, he's getting more comfortable with the offense. I asked Coach Simmons this question, and I said that because I'm petty. But I noticed the pistol formation a lot more. And I remember sitting in the press box in Miami being like, why aren't we running the pistol? Why aren't we running the pistol? It would be really nice to let these running backs get a running head start to the line. And Coach Simmons was like, yeah, we're probably going to run a little more pistol because, yes, our running back from Rickards, our lightning back, is supposed to come back. But right now you got a bunch of thunder back there. And you got to let thunder roll a little bit because once thunder starts rolling, it's a problem. And that allows the running backs, as Coach Simmons mentioned, to get their shoulders square, and also allows them to kind of get a running head start opposed to running diagonally. And we have more success running the ball out of that formation than we do out of the shotgun. I don't know if you saw what Kofi, and I didn't gave Kofi two tokens today. I'm gonna hit him in the group chat. But they posted a link talking about the use of the I formation and why it's important and how it benefits different teams and how the defensive analysts were there. Swagoo, big Swagoo was like, yeah, out of the I formation, I can't really tell what you're doing as much. And so did Ryan Clark. Shout out to Ryan Clark, the Southern Jaguar that visited FAMU for homecoming last year. I'm not gonna lie, I like Ryan Clark. I'm a fan. But he even pointed out, like, when you're running the shotgun, it's a lot easier. Like when you're constantly running your offense out of the shotgun, it's child's play. We understand we get a lot more cues and it limits your offense opposed to where you get under center. There's so many things you can do. When you run the play action, we can't see the ball. And we see it with Musa. Musa runs that play action blind. He completely turns his back, and thank God the offensive line is protecting him. But he completely turns his back, resets his feet, and he throws it. And it's a thing of beauty. That kid can throw the rock. But that's something else we are doing well. Some we're working on. They are working on compliance. Got a couple guys waiting on some waivers. So, yeah. Now, what is South Carolina State going to offer us, y'all? And I know I'm moving a little quick. I'm going to take a break before we go inside the den. Told you, I got family downstairs waiting on. I don't get to see all my family all the time. It's my wife's side of the family, too. I like my in-laws. But South Carolina State has multiple players in the NFL right now. That's something they do well. Like, they have the most players out of any HBCU that are in the NFL. Kudos to them. And it's because they're running the program really well. And y'all got to forgive me. I know trying to grow it out. I will let my brother-in-law cut it, but he's on vacation. But this is also South Carolina State's first home game. Expect a decent crowd. I mean, they're going to bring a decent crowd. I mean, now they know the band's not coming. Some people may stay home. Y'all know how your kinfolks is. But this is also a critical game for both schools, but especially FAMU, because if we win this game and we can continue to toe the line and win throughout the season, it does help your postseason bid. Do I think you get it? No. Do I think it helps it? Heck yeah. And if Musa's lighting it up, Musa's the guy you want on TV. I'm sorry. Musa, Xavier Smith, Isaiah Land, General Hunt, freaking our linebacker, Cyrus Fagan, and Isaiah Major. You want those guys on TV. You want their attention. You want those guys because they're exciting. They make plays. And you want those guys. I'm going to keep it there. Other thing, though, South Carolina State has tall receivers. And I asked the question. I was like, Coach, what do we do about this jump ball offense? He's like, you just got to match that up. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, I mean, some of these guys got heart, but they're giving up 7 to 10 inches, some of them. Like, you got 5'11", 5'9" going against 6'5". Like, yeah, you're almost a foot shorter. I understand the feeling. I get it. But you got to have a plan to combat the size of South Carolina State's receivers because we do know they're going to run the ball. Their quarterback's not very accurate. Like, he's not. But what he can do is throw the ball in a radius of that receiver and let that man play. Go get it, Roy. And you may not understand that inside joke between a friend and I, but all that is just throw it up and let somebody tall go get it. Many of our DBs have struggled with jump balls. We saw that in the Jackson State game. Some of what happened was that, and they got our DBs on island through a jump ball, and we just got overmatched. And we may have to double Davis. I may have called him Griffin. My bad. We may have to double him. That's number one, the 6'5" receiver, the dude that was just go watch the Celebration Bowl again. He was killing Jackson State. But yeah, man, I think that's going to be the keys to the game. The big thing is, so we all know Buddy Pugh going to do what Buddy Pugh does. Buddy Pugh likes to run the ball. That he's got tall receivers so that he can utilize his quarterback, and he's a great developer of talent. And he's going to do his best to overcome the lack of that his players may have. And with that, you lack an accurate quarterback. But what you have is tall receivers, 6'5", 6'3", 6'2", and you're going against a lot of 5'10", 5'11" DBs. So before I had this game at 28-17. I'm going to ride with that. Y'all know at this point, I'm kind of riding with my scores. 28-17 was the score I had before the season started. And it's a score I'm going to keep because I think South Carolina State's going to slow the ball game down. There we go. I almost mixed my words and I just wrote with it. I also think that South Carolina State's defense is better than we think they are. I don't think enough people are really looking at that defense. A lot of us are looking at the offense, but man, South Carolina State, to me, has a very decent defense. I'll go past decent. I think they're good. And I feel like FAMU's got a little more speed. But talk about somebody that does the most with local talent. Buddy Pugh's that guy. Like I can't think of somebody that does more with guys that are almost exclusively from South Carolina. Like, look at his skill positions. I think he has one guy from Florida, and that guy's from Cocoa. Almost everybody else is from South Carolina. Like, talk about regionally recruiting your area and maximizing and developing that talent. Buddy Pugh's that guy, and he's doing it. Now, beyond that, I feel like we're gonna miss the band. So I'm gonna keep it at that 28-17 because I think we're gonna really run the ball. I felt like going into the season we'd run the ball better, but I feel like we're really gonna start to lean on that. And once we get a little lead, I think we get a little bit of Buddy Pugh get back. So that's where I got with this one, 28-17 FAMU. I may have given a different score in the chat on ONG. Don't check me, but I got 28-17. That's the score I'm riding with. I think FAMU comes away from the Garden City with a victory, and that's where I'm at with that. Now I'm gonna take a 30-second break. We go inside the den, and my question is, what is the SWAC? What SWAC event is coming to Florida? Like, what's the SWAC giving to Florida? Because you got FAMU, you got Cookman. We ought to get something here in Florida. This is Fangs Up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal!
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he does! And that might be the knockout punch.
All right, I'm gonna ask the question. What have you done for me lately? Dun 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 dun. That way I ain't gotta pay no royalties. But what is the SWAC giving to the state of Florida? Because when I look at other conferences, I see how you blessing the others. SWAC, why aren't you blessing us? Because there are no major tournaments in the state of Florida. And I say that as a person who lives in Central Florida now, but I'm from Tallahassee. I have it on my shirt 2 times because my parents went to FAMU, both of them. But I went to FAMU. My daughter's mother went to FAMU. I'm a legacy. But what is Florida getting from the SWAC? If you notice, most of the tournaments in the SWAC are either in Alabama or Texas. That's important because in the state of Texas, you have 2 major schools, Texas Southern, Prairie View. And you have a rich history there. Alabama, 2 major schools, centrally located. Okay. But what does the SWAC give it to the state of Florida? Like, do you count the FAMU relays as an event? Do we have any major golf tournaments that are here in the state of Florida? Because other conferences are doing that. And like here in Orlando, we have a world-class world-class golf courses, Shingle Creek, places like that. But you have world-class tennis center that just opened up in Lake Nona that I don't think anybody's using for a tennis tournament. That'd be a great way for you to get your tennis programs into a place that is full of talent, and that would make it very easy for those schools to recruit. But other conferences seem to have events at host cities that are conference tournaments. Now, the ACC, not quite. I don't know what's wrong with Tallahassee. The biggest thing we have is the FSU relays. But the FSU relays are huge. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but especially if you're downtown, like just take a day and just watch. And you'll see a lot of the businesses get a lot of benefit because the students will go to all the different businesses, because a lot of the schools from the ACC come to the FSU relays. A lot of schools from around the nation, and especially around the South, I should say, come to the FSU relays. And it actually brings in a good amount of money at a time of year when ain't nothing going on in Tallahassee except for legislative session, which brings in a lot of money. But it gives a nice little boost to the businesses downtown. Now, you do have these other conferences. And again, I see how you getting blessed. Why can't we get blessed like that? It's kind of my question. The American Athletic Conference. The American Athletic Conference currently, in this day last year, having both UCF and USF. They have 3 conference tournaments in the state of Florida. You have the baseball championship, that's in Clearwater. You have the men's golf tournament in Bel Air. And you have the women's golf tournament in Brooksville, right outside of Tampa. So you're seeing where you have 2 major schools in the conference, a major recruiting area, and you purposely have conference tournaments in that state. That's revenue. And that helps when you want to go to the bargaining table with those different states. That gives you a little leverage because you're probably bringing some millions of dollars in. It may be a couple $100,000, but if you're bringing $100,000 to Brooksville, it's a lot more than a lot of other people. Respectfully, FAMU's got a whole agricultural site in Brooksville, and a lot of y'all didn't know it until I said it. We just got it too, like 3-4 years ago. That's huge economic impact for those schools, even if it is $100,000, $150,000. We also have the Atlantic Sun. That is where UNF, Florida Gulf Coast, I think Jacksonville University as well too. The baseball tournament was in Fort Myers this past year. We'll see about this current year. The men's track tournament in Jacksonville. So you're seeing where the tournament's not just in the state, but it's in the host cities. I'm going to give you another one. Conference USA. Conference USA, that's FIU and FAU. The golf tournament is in Palm Beach Gardens, literally right next to FAU. Conference tournament. So every school from the conference that qualifies is sending representatives. How about the Southeastern Conference? Okay, cool. Now, granted, the SEC doesn't really go to Gainesville for anything that I was able to see, but the SEC soccer tournament is in Pensacola, just like the FAMU bowling tournament is. You also have the Pepsi Florida Relays and the Tom Jones Memorial that also happen in Gainesville, but those are more like a football, basketball game, but they're major tournaments. My question is, what can we get from the SWAC in Florida? Because yes, I do understand you get really good deals from the city of Birmingham, from the state of Alabama. But if you're going to have teams this far east and you're going to look to continue to potentially expand into other states like Georgia, you're going to have that competition with other conferences that are saying, well, if you come to our conference, we have an event in your state that's going to bring revenue to your university. We may even have events on site at your university. I'm not saying that the FAMU track is ready for that. It's not. It's definitely not. But the Lawson Center is a decent venue. It's a nice venue, actually. It's not that old. Alabama A&M just built a new arena. So we have like new facilities and new edifices that could definitely host conference tournaments, especially for historically Black colleges and universities. Because let's keep it a buck. We're not bringing 70, 80,000 people to a lot of these events. I mean, you're not. The event goes for a few days and things like that. So I'm just saying, for me, I feel like we could be getting a little more from the SWAC than what we're getting as far as in the state of Florida and stuff like that. So, Yeah, y'all. I mean, I know it's kind of a little bit of a Debbie Downer note, but that's my question. What are we getting from the SWAC, and what are we going to get from them going forward? That's just a question I have, because I've seen where other conferences are using this to put money back into the coffers of their schools. If you have a tournament in Jackson, Mississippi, that puts money into the local Jackson economy, whether they got water or not. You had the SWAC championship there. I bet they'd like for you to have it there again. I mean, I'm just saying, I think sometimes we're not utilizing our resources as properly, as well as we could. And we should definitely look at being better stewards of what we have as a conference and as a people and as a university. But I start to kind of wonder, when we go to talk to those politicians, what are we going to get from them? So I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to get ready for the South Carolina State game, y'all. I will see y'all at halftime. After halftime, the South Carolina State game, we will see. It may not be, depending on how long the Black Techies run. We may have to alter our time because we don't want to overshoot them or try to like do anything like mean or anything with the feed. But we are definitely going to be going on at halftime and post game. After the South Carolina State game, I'm not traveling to Orangeburg. The next game you will see me at will probably be homecoming. You might see me in Jacksonville next week. I ain't gonna lie, I'm trying to sneak up there, and I'll probably wear a Florida State shirt. I'm not wearing no freaking Cookman stuff, but I'll wear a Florida State thing. So it's garnet and gold. That's close to maroon and yellow as you're gonna get me to go to. But man, that's the show, y'all. Man, quick recap though. Tried to keep it a little short. Like I said, I got family downstairs. Hopefully they ain't left me yet. But FAMU bowling, first classic. It's in Pensacola, and the city of Pensacola. They use resource money to be able to lure that conference to that in that event to the city. Let's hope for more of that. We also have cross country is going to be going tomorrow morning at the FSU Cross Country Invitational Golf Tournament. They placed 11th. We got another one coming up soon though. Softball. Fall ball's kicking in, and we're playing community colleges. This one is going to be in Panama City. It's going to be a doubleheader, noon and 2 p.m. After the game, feel free to go over to Pier Park, have some fun. No, they're not paying me. I dated somebody in Panama City once a while ago. Also, volleyball. You got the SWAC cluster going on. That's the 9th through the 10th. And football, we are going to be playing South Carolina State in the Garden City. And my question is, what is the SWAC giving to FAMU and really the state of Florida? Because I see how other conferences are being blessed. I want to be blessed in the same manner. So that being stated, y'all, we're going to cut the show here. As always, big shout out to HBCU Digital Network. Thank y'all for sponsoring and hosting us. My co-conspirators, the Black Techies, thank y'all. And their show, 6 o'clock on Saturday. Check them out. And lastly, Cable Busters, $35 gets you live sports and live TV on up to 3 devices. As always, y'all, this is going to be Fangs Up.
Yeah, baby, you know what time it is. Now let's get it started.
Are you kidding me? Unreal.
While our HBCUs are mostly known for academic rigor, community, they also know how to turn up.
Does he have it? Yes, he